In the quiet town of Ravenswood, nestled amidst rolling hills and surrounded by dense forests, stood an old hospital that had served the community for generations. Locals whispered tales of its dark past, stories that sent chills down the spines of even the bravest souls. They spoke of the hospital's haunted corridors, where lost souls wandered trapped in an eternal nightmare. The hospital's dilapidated facade loomed over the town, casting a shadow of dread upon those who passed by. Its once white walls were now stained and cracked, bearing the scars of years gone by. The eerie silence that enveloped the building was broken only by the occasional creak of floorboards or the howling wind that whistled through broken windows. Legend had it that the hospital's haunting began with a doctor named Dr. Nathaniel Blackwood, a brilliant yet deeply disturbed man. He was known for his unconventional methods and obsession with the human psyche. Dr. Blackwood conducted gruesome experiments in the hospital's basement, delving into the darkest corners of the human mind. As the tale goes, one stormy night, a patient went missing from his room. The staff searched every nook and cranny of the hospital, but found no trace of the missing soul. Strange occurrences followed in the wake of the patient's disappearance. Nurses reported hearing agonized screams in the dead of night, echoing through the empty hallways. Patients whispered of ghostly figures lurking in the shadows, their eyes filled with sorrow and desperation. Over the years, the hospital's reputation grew more sinister. Visitors who dared to step inside reported overwhelming feelings of dread and an unshakable sense that they were being watched. Some claimed to have witnessed apparitions of patients wandering aimlessly, their faces etched with horror. Others spoke of strange whispers that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves, taunting and tormenting anyone who dared to listen. A brave few attempted to uncover the truth behind the hospital's haunting. Paranormal investigators armed with cameras and recording devices ventured into its dark corridors, hoping to capture evidence of the supernatural. Some never returned, while others emerged shaken and scarred, their findings forever sealed away. As the years passed, the hospital became a place of dread, shrouded in mystery and fear. The townspeople avoided it at all costs, fearful of the malevolent energy that seemed to emanate from its decaying walls. The hospital became a haunting reminder of the town's dark secrets, a place where the line between the living and the dead blurred. Today, the hospital stands abandoned, a relic of the past. It serves as a constant reminder of the horrors that occurred within its walls. But even in its abandonment, the hospital's dark legacy lives on. It continues to draw those brave enough to venture close, seeking the truth and perhaps hoping to free the lost souls trapped within. The hospital in Ravenswood remains a chilling testament to the horrors that can unfold within the sterile walls of a place meant for healing. It serves as a warning to those who dare to enter, for once you cross the threshold, there may be no escape from the terrors that lie in wait. The hospital stood at the edge of town like a towering monolith of despair. Its imposing structure, adorned with cracked windows and faded paint, exuded an eerie presence that sent shivers down the spines of anyone who dared to pass by. Locals whispered stories of inexplicable happenings within its walls, and the very mention of the hospital's name was enough to send chills through the community. The hospital's origins were steeped in darkness. It was said to have been built upon an ancient burial ground, a fact that residents had long forgotten. The land itself was cursed, and the hospital's construction had unwittingly disturbed the restless spirits that dwelled beneath. From the moment the first brick was laid, the building became a breeding ground for malevolence. As the hospital opened its doors, it soon became apparent that something was terribly wrong. Patients who entered its sterile corridors felt an overwhelming sense of unease, as if an unseen force was watching their every move. Nurses and doctors reported strange occurrences, from flickering lights to unexplained equipment malfunctions. Some claimed to have seen apparitions, shadowy figures that darted across hallways, disappearing into thin air. The hospital's reputation for horror grew with each passing year. Whispers of unexplained deaths and mysterious disappearances circulated through the town. Desperate cries and agonized screams echoed through the hallways at night, reaching the ears of nearby residents who lived in perpetual fear. It was as if the hospital itself was a living entity feeding off the fear and suffering of those who entered its doors. One fateful night, a group of ghost hunters, drawn by the tales of the hospital's haunting, decided to investigate its dark secrets. Armed with an arsenal of cameras, voice recorders, and their unwavering curiosity, they entered the forsaken building. They descended into the depths of the hospital's basement, where the most malevolent energies were said to reside. As the ghost hunters delved deeper, the hospital's true horrors were unveiled. They discovered forgotten rooms, hidden away from the world, a grotesque maze of experimentation. Cold, stainless steel tables stained with blood lined the walls. Eerie medical instruments lay strewn about, remnants of the twisted experiments performed by the hospital's deranged staff. But it was the presence that accompanied them that truly terrified the ghost hunters. They felt unseen hands brush against their skin, heard disembodied whispers that seemed to seep from the very walls. Shadows danced in their peripheral vision, and a chilling presence wrapped around them like a suffocating cloak. It was as if the spirits of the tormented were desperate to make their presence known. In the bowels of the hospital's basement, the ghost hunters encountered a particularly vengeful spirit, a former patient whose mind had been broken beyond repair. Its eyes glowed with an unholy fire as it unleashed its wrath upon the intruders. The once curious group was now trapped in a terrifying battle for survival. The hospital's dark history began to consume them, their minds becoming playgrounds for the vengeful spirits that lurked within. They were taunted by disembodied voices, tortured by nightmarish visions, and driven to the brink of madness. One by one, they fell victim to the hospital's insidious grip, their bodies lifeless husks left to decay alongside the countless others who had met their tragic end. The town, consumed by fear and dread, ultimately made the decision to seal the hospital. Boarding up its windows and erecting fences, they attempted to bury the building's dark secrets forever. But the hospital's malevolence lingered, seeping into the very fabric of the town, casting an eternal shadow over its residents. To this day, the hospital stands as a foreboding reminder of the horrors that unfolded within its walls. Locals avoid the area at all costs, for they know the hospital's grip on the town will never truly be broken. It serves as a haunting testament to the inescapable darkness that can arise from the depths of human despair, a chilling reminder that some places are forever cursed and their terrifying secrets will never be fully silenced. The hospital sat at the outskirts of town, a looming structure that seemed frozen in time. Its windows were dark, reflecting no signs of life within. The air around it carried an unsettling stillness, as if the very atmosphere held its breath. Locals whispered of its grim history, recounting tales of unexplained deaths and strange happenings that occurred within its walls. One stormy night, a young woman named Emily found herself stranded near the hospital. Seeking shelter from the pouring rain, she reluctantly approached its entrance, a sense of unease gnawing at her gut. The door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit corridor stretching out before her. As Emily cautiously stepped inside, the air grew heavy with an oppressive silence. She called out, her voice echoing down the empty halls. No response. Curiosity mingled with fear, propelling her further into the heart of the hospital. Rooms passed by like fleeting shadows, each one shrouded in darkness. Emily's steps faltered as she caught a glimpse of movement from the corner of her eye. Whirling around, she saw a flicker of a figure disappearing behind a doorway. Heart pounding, she gave chase, her footsteps echoing through the desolate space. The hospital seemed to twist and distort around her, its corridors transforming into a labyrinth of uncertainty. Emily felt as though she had entered a nightmare, trapped within the hospital's sinister grip. The walls closed in, closing off her escape routes. The flickering figure continued to elude her, leading her deeper into the heart of darkness. Doors slammed shut behind her, cutting off any hope of retreat. Panic seized Emily as she realized she was not alone. Whispers filled the air, a symphony of hushed voices that taunted her from all directions. Shadows danced and writhed upon the walls, their forms shifting with malevolent intent. Emily's breath hitched as she caught glimpses of ghostly apparitions, their hollow eyes fixed upon her. In a desperate bid for survival, Emily ran, her footsteps echoing through the labyrinthine corridors. But the hospital seemed to toy with her, the path ahead constantly shifting and changing. The whispers grew louder, their words a haunting melody of despair. As Emily turned a corner, she stumbled upon a room bathed in an eerie glow. In the center stood a gurney, its surface stained with dried blood. Dread washed over her as she realized the room was a silent witness to unimaginable horrors. From the shadows emerged the flickering figure, its features contorted with anguish. The entity reached out to Emily, its touch sending a shockwave of pain through her body. Paralyzed with fear, she watched as the figure dissipated into the darkness. With a final surge of adrenaline, Emily found herself outside the hospital, gasping for breath. The storm had subsided, and a sense of relief washed over her. But the scars of her encounter remained etched upon her soul. Years later, the hospital was demolished, its presence erased from the town's landscape. Yet whispers of its haunting lingered, a reminder of the terrors that once resided there. And those who ventured near the site could still feel the chilling presence, an echo of the hospital's malevolence that refused to be forgotten.